Hi, I'm Ed Zachary with Medina County Veterans Service Office. And if you're a veteran and you're in a crisis, or worse yet, contemplating suicide, I want you to pick up the phone and call the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Do it now.
There is nothing wrong with your television. We are controlling transmission. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to Brunswick area television.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome to this month's Salute to Service, and with me today I have Mr. John Rocha. How you doing, John?
My pleasure,
Good
sir.
to have you on the show. John is a U.S. Army veteran. So tell me, where originally are you from? You from Medina originally, or?
Actually, Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland.
55th and Broadway area.
Okay. So you moved out here when you were a little bit older, or?
Yeah, 1979.
Okay. So when did you go into the service?
1965.
1965. How old were you?
17 years old.
So did your mother have to sign for you?
Yeah,
then?
yes, she did.
So
a lot of people don't know that, but yeah, you can get in early.
Yeah, got to get a parent's permission to go in. So 65. I mean, so Vietnam's pretty much kicking off right there. What made you go into the service?
Well, I felt it was my duty, and I needed some rehabilitation in my younger years, so I figured I'd get with the program and my drill instructor have a little talk with me, so it worked out quite well.
The Army is good for that, too. They will
absolutely.
Put you
Army,
in line
Marines, the whole branch, they're fabulous.
They will put you in line. So what's going through, were you already out, you were out of high school or, getting ready to go? What's going through a 17-year-old's mind when he's joining the Army in the middle of a war?
Well, I was kind of like the young, tough guy. So I figured, hey, I want to do that at the same time, be tough, so to speak, and support my military, and do what I can to make things better for the citizens in the United States.
So where'd you go? Where'd you go to basic training at?
Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Fort Knox, Kentucky. How was that?
Great, I liked it.
Was basic training tough on you, or was it hard, or?
It was probably tough for some of the other guys, but I felt like I was macho, and it didn't really bother me that much. I think the discipline of the drill instructors, I take my hat off to them. Right. They really straightened out my life.
So what was your job in the Army? Where'd you go to train for that?
I still stayed at Fort Knox. I took my MOS, which is to the public is like your trade that you're going to have in the military, and started out as a wheel vehicle mechanic. And then from there, I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, for my Army training for the tanks, the Hollisters, the PCs, which for the public is the tanks, different various tanks.
Right, howitzers and stuff like that.
How to recover them out of the mud and so on like that.
So have you ever been anywhere other than Cleveland when you went down there, or is Cleveland pretty much the only place you ever were?
Cleveland was pretty much my home base.
Yeah, so it was pretty much an eye-opener to go someplace like Oklahoma, or? Oh
yeah, it was great to travel to different various states.
Right. So how long from the time you joined in 1965 and got out of AIT at Fort Sill, how long until you went over to Vietnam?
I first started in Korea, so I got a 12-month tour there. Okay. And then they TDY'd me, temporary duty, because of my MOS, over to
Vietnam.
Yeah, to Vietnam and Pleiku. So knowing the military and so on, within a month or so they shipped me back to Korea.
So what was Korea like in 1965?
Korea was a lot of muddy roads, a lot of they call them, I forget what the name was, but the mountains, there were like if you took a military vehicle and we were headed, I was headed to the motor pool. We would drive along these dirt roads, and you kind of see this thing on TV that shows these truck drivers that if they turn just a little bit on these big roads, the whole vehicle could fall completely down. Because it was all when we had monsoon season, which was a lot of rain. Same thing in Vietnam. The muddy roads, you'd either get stuck or whatever.
So 65, that's only 12, well, really, it's 10 years after the Korean War. So is there still a lot of damage and stuff from the war that you can see over there?
You really get to meet the people in the villages, and, you know, you come back stateside, which we call the world. Right. And you wonder how people survive and live there, and things that we would throw away they would make and sell back to us, like a pool stick or various things. Very talented people.
They'd fix it up and sell it.
Hard workers, and you know.
It's probably amazing, you know, to think about the devastation still 10 years later after a war. You know, it's still there and everything. So were you up on the DMZ at all?
DMZ perimeter,
Tension's pretty, I mean, we know what's going on with Korea today. Here we are in, 2018, and we're still dealing with this. But, so tensions back then had to be a lot more than what they are today, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate enough to eventually work out of the motor pool, and they made me the colonel's driver. Okay. And so we would personally go certain areas, that were somewhat safe. And we went up on a DMZ perimeter, and I got demoted somehow because there was a new captain that came in that was shipped in. Great guy. He was Cuban, and he was a lieutenant colonel, and him and I really got along. So we went up to the DMZ, down-to-earth guy, and usually in the military, the officers were up here and the regular enlisted guy was down here. Right. This guy was a fabulous guy. He taught me a lot. I, showed him a lot when he first came over. Right. Super guy. We had a blast over.
So when they told you got to go to Vietnam for a couple months, I mean, even though Korea was, it's still a hostile area. Wasn't a whole lot of shooting going on. No. So when they said come to you and say, hey, you're going to Vietnam, what are you thinking?
Well, wasn't happy, but I had to do what I had to do because they cut the orders or whatever, and you went, and that was it.
So was there any? I mean, I'm sure there was differences. So what did you see when you hit Vietnam? What was
pretty
it like?
Much the same environment because it's all like Asian, That was about it. I think, believe it or not, I saw a little incident that happened in the village in Korea, where they killed one of our servicemen right in the village because we were able to go to the villages, later on for R&R or whatever, and we had one die before we could get to him to save him.
What happened?
Actually, we're in a village, and they had like bars there, and he went into the bar and he came out, and we called them Slicky Boys, which they were the type of people that they were troublemakers, so to speak, and I don't know how it started, but they just crowded around him and just kicked him to death.
So kind of like a fight,
if you go over and see those people, they can kick your head right off your shoulders. They may be 5 foot, but they are fantastic with their feet.
So when you were over in Vietnam, did you have a lot of interaction with the guys, or the guys?
Oh
were actually going out and stuff?
Yeah. So I was going to bring a picture, but I couldn't find it. But it kind of showed how poor it is over there. I mean, even to relieve yourself there is right on the side of the road. Or, people don't realize, and the smell of rice paddies. When you first go over
all
there,
drains right into there.
Of course, later on you get used to the smell, and
So how long were you in Korea?
12 months.
And then you come back to the States, or?
Yeah, we came back to the States, and I got shipped over to Fort Ritchie, Maryland.
What was that like?
Great.
Yeah, a lot better than Korea or Vietnam, right?
Kissed the ground. I was back in the world, and I had a fabulous time there. I met a lot of GIs, overseas, stateside. Still stay in contact with them.
Were you married when you were in, or? Were you...
No, I was single.
Still single. So you were living the life then, pretty much. Yeah, having a good time, drinking beer, and all that good stuff.
Right.
So how long were you at Fort Ritchie? How long did you stay in the service altogether?
3 years, a little over 3 years.
So how long were you at Ritchie? A couple of years then, huh?
1 year.
1 year, and did you go anywhere else then, or did
Well,
you
what
get out?
happened, I started dating the colonel's secretary over there.
Well, that could be a problem, right?
And she got me a job on post, so I worked at Fort Ritchie, Maryland for about a year.
After you got out?
Yeah, after I got
Okay.
out, yeah.
So what'd you do? What'd you do there?
Then I left there about a year later after I left the fort there, and I went back to Cleveland. And I had two choices of getting a job. Of course, I was only 20 or 21 then.
Right.
And I had a choice of going with an elevator company or going with the Cleveland Board of Education. And my buddy said, well, I think I can get you in over there. So I worked with the Cleveland Board of Education.
What'd you do down there?
I started out as a janitorial labor.
Yeah. So and obviously, so what did you go on and do later in life? I know you were a councilman here in Brunswick and everything else. So
what happened? I climbed the ladder in the Cleveland Board and worked my way from janitorial labor to the administration. From there, I started my own two businesses. And I thank the VA because I took a course in typewriters, which is office equipment.
Right.
And that's years back was more typewriters than computers.
Right.
And they gave me a course, cost me nothing, and I started my one business that way through the VA.
wow.
So
how do you think? What experience did you bring from your military? That 3 years in the military into civilian life.
Well, I think the military teaches you discipline, teaches you that most goals that you try to achieve in life, you will achieve.
Right.
After that, I would say they teach you how to be organized. And,
Organizational skills.
Yeah, right.
And things like
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
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 And then from there, I went into a limousine business. Rented a limousine one time and started talking to the guy, and I knew the friend of mine that had a limousine, and talking to the driver, made good friends with him. I said, I think I'm going to buy one of these. So I guess that's where the military taught me, dare to be great.
Yeah.
And after that, moved to Brunswick in 1970, built my first new house, and bought 2 or 3 other houses here in Brunswick. And liked the community, everything else, and then I decided to run for politics. And first time I ran for school board, I lost by maybe 100 votes. Second time I ran for council, and got elected and served 8 years for our community. Really enjoyed that.
So there's some community giving back there too.
Yeah,
a lot of people in the military. Obviously, back in the day, there was a lot more politicians that were veterans, but a lot of veterans come back and go, well, I want to give back to the community, and running for local office is one of the ways you do that. So, that's great. What's your experience with dealing with veterans when you were councilman? And, were there any veterans that came to you with issues or anything like that they might have?
Absolutely, yeah. They'd always ask for my advice. Anything I could do to help a veteran, I did. I want to shout out to my city manager, Carl DeForest.
Great guy.
He's really up the
Yeah.
ante on veterans.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah, they started the whole veterans program here
Right.
they got going on, and I know you can ride the Brunswick bus now, and the city pays for it.
Yeah.
And Carl's doing a great job as far as getting
The
veterans
breakfast
out there.
he started,
Yeah.
and he was an old drill instructor too, so him and I got quite along real well.
And he looks like an old drill
Yeah,
sergeant.
yeah,
He's
he
got
does,
that
he
little
does.
mean look. Carl, if you're watching, you got that mean drill sergeant look, kind of.
And I remember when he first started as a patrolman, out here, so he really climbed the ladder, which is deserving for him because, site seniority, let's call
Right.
it,
Now, so I know out here in Brunswick we got the American Legion and the VFW. Are you a member of
Absolutely, yeah. That's the first thing I joined when I got out. I joined the American Legion in Cascade, Maryland, and then I transferred over here, and then joined the VFW out in Cleveland. Transferred from Cleveland over here to Brunswick.
To Brunswick. And Brunswick's a great community to be a veteran, as Medina County is. So, how do you interact with the VFW, and what's the VFW and the Legion do for Brunswick and the community?
Well, they get very active in the parades, which I don't think I've missed a parade since I've been out here since 1970. You always donate a car or limo or a nice sedan for the DAVs. Those
Right.
are just people that really serve their country.
Right.
And I always say a true veteran is the one that gave their life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the guys that don't come home really deserve all the, their families deserve all the honor that you can give them. So let's go back to your service now. So what was it like being a young guy, though, in the military, single, going to Korea and Vietnam and coming home? I mean, what experiences did you have there that you carried forward? What was it like?
Again, going back to how poor the people are and how great it is to be an American, and to come back stateside.
Mm-hmm.
What
was it like coming back to the States in 1970? I mean, 69.
I remember getting off in California with a big duffel bag, and it was bigger than I was, and just shipped back to Cleveland, looking for a job, But again, I want to correct myself. I went to Fort Ritchie, Maryland was my last duty assignment, and I wound up there. Then I came back to Cleveland.
Right.
But it was different.
Was there any hostilities towards you or anything? I mean, you hear a lot of times.
No, it was like you got off the plane, you had the duffel bag, and everybody just looked at you.
Yeah.
It was, it wasn't a good picture. Welcome back home.
Right. Yeah.
So,
not like today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and today, it's a blessing. You go anywhere, and if you're a veteran, everyone takes their hat off and gives us a discount, which I do appreciate for all the businesses, and I do the same thing in my businesses.
Yeah, I think your generation of veteran has really taught this generation of people how to pay respect and thank our veterans for what they do, whether they agree with with the war or not.
What happened? Sure.
I mean, it's we're just doing what we're told to do.
It's just like our police officers. They go out there, and now the way things are right now, you got to give a lot of respect to our police officers. I mean, when they come up to a vehicle, you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, every day they go to work. I mean, they're putting their life on the line for you. So again, coming back, you come back and you spend some time over in Maryland. Was it different in Maryland than it was when you landed in California or anywhere else, or Fort Sill, or?
No, it was stateside to me. I mean, different. I know that I was near Pennsylvania line, and I got a job there for a while too before I came back to Cleveland. And they like to hunt out there, deer season in PA, because I lived in Rouserville, Pennsylvania for a while. And other than that, southern states, a little twang to their talk. Your northerners, so it's interesting when you meet all the people from different states.
They're all different. Everybody's got.
But we're all the same.
Yeah, we're all Americans. So you said you stay in contact with some of your buddies that you were in service yet.
Oh yeah.
Have you did that throughout the years, or have you just connected back with them with?
Well, back then we used to get a copy of each other's orders, and we would know their serial number and so on like that.
Right.
Now, years ago, they had a serial number.
Right.
I'm going to quote it, RA15723146.
Right.
And that was from 1965.
You don't forget that.
And now it's Social Security number. And we had the copy of the orders, then we would kind of know where the post locator, and we could find these people. And then when the internet came out, my one friend that I was in Vietnam, Belmont McGill was his name. He passed away. He got me in touch with everybody.
Right.
He got on that computer.
Oh yeah, Facebook and all that stuff.
Let's go see this guy.
Yeah.
Let's go see this guy. So I went and visited him. It was just like old school. It was like you're a comrade, a brother.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a hold of my one buddy Bill Fulcher, and I said, "I'm coming out to see you." He says, "All right." So I go out there to see him, and he goes, "I hope you're not trying to rent a hotel or something," because he says, "You're staying at my house." I said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So we went out there. We had a heck of a time, and then we went to another friend of mine that was in Korea with me. He was out in Mount Vernon, Ohio, which wasn't too far for me to go. So I went out to see him. He married a Korean girl over there too, so he brought her back stateside, and I knew her from Korea, and got to speak a little bit of the language and so on like that. So it was interesting.
So before we close here, any last things that you want to tell our younger viewers or anybody about your service that you think you can pass on, some knowledge that you got from service?
Well, the knowledge is discipline and making yourself believe in yourself, and to achieve goals that you think you could never achieve. And that's one thing the military taught me. You know, it's just like when we went through basic training and we were doing the monkey bars and the physical training, and the drill instructor was saying, you better finish those bars. And, you know, and then when you complete it, you go, geez, I didn't think I could do that.
You feel better about yourself. You do. You feel accomplished.
I didn't think I could do this. I mean, and now it's, with the military background, I think you're ready to go. You know, you're ready to.
Yeah, you come out of basic training thinking you can take on the world. You can do pretty much anything.
Exactly.
So I ask everybody that comes on the show, if you had the chance to do it all over again, would you still serve?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. John, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you next month on Salute to Service. Thank you.
Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Is the seat supposed to be forward-facing or rear-facing? Did they move to a booster seat too soon? It may be too late to check when you're on the road. Fortunately, you're on the couch. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Don't think you know. Know you know.
Make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors. And to follow the swimming rules.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.